Alright guys, welcome to another video. So in this one I want to talk about something very important. This is another one of those videos that I really want you to pay attention, because we've been talking about indicators and like things that you can use, things that I've used, and like things that can work and help you a lot. But one of the things I want to talk about, which I kind of mentioned a little bit in the previous video, is mixing indicator, okay, and using multiple indicators. Now this is, if you remember, there's another part of this thing I mentioned was finding your trading style, right? Finding what works for you. So what is really important is that you generally want to understand these, indicators, and like get a good knowledge from them. If you want to learn more about these things, you can just Google them. For example, EMA, MA, you can learn the formula if you really want to get into that. You can learn about ATR formula. You can just Google and learn about the exact details of the formulas of these things. But one of the things you want is you want to develop a strategy for yourself, a trading style, okay? And the way you do this is by choosing a few indicators. Now, one of the things I want to tell you is that it's really easy to fill up your screen with different lines and things like that, and you make it super busy. But in my experience, and the way I've made money, and I've seen a lot of successful traders make money, you don't need 1,000 indicators. What you really need is maybe one or two that you're comfortable with, and one or two that you're willing to, you say, okay, this is the thing I want to test, and here's my strategy, and I'm going to use this exact strategy. I'm not going to change my strategy in middle of the market or middle of the trading. I'm going to stick to it, and if I see an entry based on my strategy, I'm going to enter, and if I see an exit, I'm going to exit. You need to develop a strategy and style for yourself. And the way you do this, again, is to use a few indicators that you're comfortable with and you like, and just build a strategy based on it. For example, what I have here is ATR, as we talked about in the previous video, and also I have the EMA and MA. Very powerful strategy. I got the pivot projection as well, and we got this whole thing, right? So if I want to build a style here, strategy here, I'd say, hey, I'm gonna do it. I'm gonna enter a position when I see a buy signal, and when I see, we talked about it in the previous video, when I see EMA right above MA line. That's it. That's my strategy, and I'm gonna hold it until I either get a sell signal, right, or the EMA just falls below the MA line. Very simple, right? This is my strategy in this case. I just developed a style. Now, does it work? I have to test it, I have to see, and I have to see how confident I am with it and how much money I can make with it. That's simple, right? So it's very important. You want to develop, and again, I'm going to continue adding more videos to this section with more indicators, but you generally want to go out and develop a style for yourself. It's very important, and that's how you become a successful day trader. Okay, now we talked about a bunch of them again, as we talked about order blocks, support resistance, moving average, EMAs, KNN, machine learning, LR, ATR, all that stuff. But I'm going to add more. I just wanted to, and again, you might not see more videos in this section. Might see a couple later on. Maybe you come back next week and see another new video. But my point is that you need to develop your own strategy, develop your own style. That's why I've been sharing a lot of indicators that I have used and I'm using in my day trading. And you need to find what works for you, what you're comfortable with, right? So that's pretty much it. Again, for example, in my case, I use golden slope. Obviously, it's a whole different indicator that I've developed for myself. But even if you want to use free indicators from TradingView, it's all fine. You just have to find what works for you. All right, guys. So I just wanted to share this with you. I wanted to kind of remind you that you need to do this if you want to become a successful trader. Let me know if you have any questions. I have shared a bunch of the good ones that have worked for me. For example, order blocks are very powerful. The ATR is pretty powerful and all that stuff. But you definitely have to just see what works for you and what works with your mentality and your trading style and things like that. So we're going to continue. Probably I'm going to add more videos to this section later on, you know, so make sure you come back to it and see more videos. But with that being said, let me know if you have any questions. You can always contact me, and I'll see you in the next section.